Happy 100th episode, everybody. Welcome back to the show. I have got a awesome gift for you guys. We're going to go back to the basics and work on some mountains. So I hope you enjoy it. Thank you so much for being a part of this show and making everything just so awesome. I just love that we can paint together. So in this painting, you're just going to need three colors: white, blue, and black. And then you're just going to need a flat brush, a large one, and a flat brush, a small one. Enjoy, guys, and we'll keep painting. All right, we're ready to start. I've got my three colors on my plate: blue, white, and black. Now, what I want to do is at least give you some reality. We're going to start off with our sky. I'm using that flat brush, the larger brush, and I'm just going to go back and forth, side to side very quickly. This is acrylic paint. It's very basic stuff, not very expensive. You're more than welcome to paint your edges. I leave that up to you if you want to do edges. Alright, I'm just going to do the front today. And I want to get rid of all these little dots. You see those little dots that are poking through? So if you do run out of paint, put some more in your brush and just start kind of covering them up a little bit. And you don't need a lot to cover those little dots up, but just enough to get the paint within those little grooves. There we go. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a little bit of white and bring some of that blue out. It's going to make a little bit of a lighter blue. Okay, and just go back and forth, side to side, right underneath. And as you can see, it lightens up. It's okay if there's different textures coming out on your brush as well. We can have some imperfections, no big deal. So it lightened up a little bit. I want to lighten it up even more. I'm just going to put actually just some plain white on my brush. It's already got that blue on there. And this come right underneath. And I'm going to bring that little bit up into the lighter blue up above it. That light blue up above. And as you can see, it blends if you're doing this back and forth motion, this side to side motion. It helps blend out your colors a little bit and your paint a little bit better. Because acrylic paint does dry so quickly that we need to just keep on going. But now you have what we like to call atmosphere. It goes from that gradient, that light, to a darker blue. And you can just see there are some different textures, not a problem. We're just going to keep it simple like that. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to keep that large brush, that flat brush, and I've got my different blues, my white, I still got black down there, but we're going to go ahead and continue on with a very light blue. And you're going to just put a little bit of blue and white and just mix it together. Just bringing a little bit out on this plate so I can mix it. And all I'm going to do now is just take my flat edge here and just make maybe some tops of triangles. You know, just here I can make one right here. I can make smaller ones, but basically they're coming up into the sky and they're just tops of triangles. I'm going to bring some of that paint down, and as you can see, it starts to create its own texture by bringing some of that paint down with that flat brush. Alright. Now, mountains aren't perfect pyramids, and this is so light right now, but you want to just kind of blot or dab your brush a little bit until it reaches the top. And you can see you can taper down each side of your mountains, and that can create some fun texture. It makes the mountains look a little bit more realistic, but just by doing that simple step. Alright, there we go. And I'm just using the leftovers of this brush, just kind of coming off. Now, we're going to practice a little bit with some texturizing and whatnot on these mountains. I'm going to take, I'm just actually, you know what, I'm going to set this brush aside, my larger flat brush, and I'm going to grab a smaller flat brush. And all I'm going to do is put a little bit of blue, plain blue on there, and just thin it out. And I'm going to make these very random streaks. They almost look like little shadows. And I'm breaking up the original. You still want to see some of that original light blue, but I'm adding some streaks, and they can go both ways. You can see I'm just going to take this and just go this way. And now you can see that it looks like we've got some kind of texture or mountains in front of that guy. And bring some down lower. Now it's real light still. We're still in the really light blue stage. And it's very faint. And the reason why it's so light is because there's atmosphere. There's all this stuff in the air. So when you look at distant mountains, you'll notice that they're a little bit lighter. Now I'm going to set my small brush down and go back to my larger one, just on the other side. And I'm going to go ahead and add blue into this light blue, making a darker version. I still want some white in there, but I'm just making a little bit of a darker version. Now, I'll wipe some of that off my brush. And let's have some fun. Let's go ahead and make a mountain right in front of these guys. Tops of triangles. I'm just making some tops of triangles and bringing them that light blue down. Now take a look. You're starting to get depth just because we added a new range, a new mountain range, some new peaks, smaller, you know, because those ones in the back are huge. And again, we're going to do that same step. Take some of that same blue you just used and just blot or dab your brush, you know, tapering down some of the edges. Even so, you can make this one a little bit higher, whatever you want. Nature isn't perfect, and we always use that to our advantage when we're doing these paintings. Now you can see there's different textures along these mountain ridges. I'm going to set this flat brush down, the large one, switch back over to my small one, and I'm going to go ahead and add a little bit of dark blue right in there, and I'm just going to start adding textures these guys. Now the paint's still a little bit wet, so you might have to let it dry just a little bit, no big deal. But as you can see, now that there's some new light, where this range is going to be a lot closer. So you're going to see some different highlights and lowlights and different things. You're going to see things a little bit more clearer. Alright, so you're just still working on that step. Now, you don't have to use a small brush. You can keep using your large brush, whatever you're starting to get comfortable with. You know, sometimes if you want to make detail stuff, you can keep using that. If you want to just cover a lot of canvas very quickly, then the large brush can do the same trick, just a lot faster. So now you can see we've got some awesome hills and mountains in the background here. Our sky is blue, it's got that gradient look, alright? And we're just practicing with just these two colors. So a lot is happening right now. But now, since we're getting so close to our land here, or to getting close, we're running out of canvas, what we can do is maybe even flatten up a little bit down here. You do this by a side-to-side motion with your brush, and you can add some little bit of white highlights in there, and it looks like you got more of like rolling hills now down here by just kind of using that brush and doing more of a side to side rather than making those big triangles. Okay, so you got more of a nice little land down here, very easygoing and quiet. this is where you get all the noise. But now what we're going to do is we're going to start really changing this painting. We want it not to be so subtle. We want to maybe add something big, and you got to get brave. Alright, so what we're going to do is we're going to just put some plain blue on here, and watch this. I'm just going to go ahead and almost make a big little silhouette here, right, going over here of plain blue. It's just some land, and I'm going to bring that brush down, and the brush will naturally start creating textures. It'll naturally just start creating some pretty cool things when you're just painting and just putting that awesome paint down. It's just plain acrylic blue paint. And look at that. Now you have this front mountain that is it's a little bit darker, but it's not quite dark enough. And what I mean by that is you can see there's some real close differences. So like if I were to add some blue here in these mountains, it would really match what's going on with the front ones right here. So you can see I'm using the same plain blue, and I'm just using my large brush still. Again, you can use whatever brush you'd like. If you feel comfortable using a small brush, feel free to use that. Okay. Now, you obviously have differences. You got all these distant mountains, you've got your awesome sky, that gradient look. You've got these a little bit darker blue, and then you have a little bit even darker blue right here. But let's change it. Let's have some fun. And this is where you bring black into the mix. You can bring a little bit of blue and black together. I'm just mixing it with my brush. Wipe some of it off. You won't need all of that paint. And watch this. Bring some paint, and you can make some awesome textures happen with your mountains. And really it's just about kind of like practicing with the paint, seeing what can come of it. You can change things as you go too. I don't want you to feel like this is the exact, I don't want you to feel like, you know what, this is how it's got to be. You're constantly switching gears and changing your painting and just practicing with your brushes and just getting used to everything. Alright, so you can see I added a little bit more black into my blue right there, and that really creates some strong shadows. Alright, and now bringing down some of this texture here. I'm still using that large brush. I just didn't feel like picking up the other one. But take a look. Now you're seeing some real cool depth. You're seeing almost like some distant valley right here between your mountains. And that is really such a fun stuff. I'm going to set this one down. And check this out. Now, normally we would just, you know, stop there, but let's just say you want to add some clouds. I'm just using that small brush, and I'm just dabbing very lightly and just taking some of this paint off here. Look how far I'm extending it. I haven't put any more white paint on my brush, and I'm making these awesome clouds. And just by dabbing or blotting this brush very lightly, you can see that these clouds really, really add more depth and fun textures in your sky. Again, this is just a practice run of, you know, what we want to kind of accomplish here, and just see what kind of different new techniques you can learn. Look at that. Kind of these cool clouds just coming over the mountain range there. I'm going to add some over here. I'm staying away from my large brush right now. I'd rather use that one, but since it's got some black paint on there, I've got to stay away from that one, because we don't want our clouds getting all dirty and dungy looking black. Gonna have this awesome, nice, white, vibrant stuff going on. You can see just by taking some of that paint and blotting and dabbing, that creates, you know, that texture that you're looking for. It's almost looking like this cloud is just needs some love here and just wants to connect with that other one. we go. And just like that, very quickly, you can see that we just totally added atmosphere, played around with perspective distance, did our light blue mountains in the back, then made it a little bit darker with some more plain blue. And now you can see we can add even highlights down in the land too. The more layers that you tend to add, the cooler it can kind of come out. You can see I'm just going to add some like fun little dashes in this valley and make it look like it's like a cool little place where you can go hang out at. And I'm just breaking up, adding another layer of paint. And that, guys, is how you just really make some impact on your paintings. And again, just mess around. Look at, I can bring even highlights right here into these mountains. I can keep having fun with it. Practice just different layers. I'm breaking these little mountains up with some highlights and a little bit of plain white on my brush right now. And this is a great painting to practice texturizing and, you know, just seeing what your brushes can do. So I hope you enjoy it, and we'll see you on the next episode.